Hey everybody. So in today's video, we're going to address a question that has driven me up the wall pretty much my entire working life. That old standby, so what do you do? I can't tell you the number of times I've been asked that question and I've just started rambling. You know, I'm a career coach and I help job seekers and oh yeah, I also write resumes. I do that part. I work with people on LinkedIn, show them how to use it for job search. And oh yeah, interview coaching. I also do interview coaching as well. And the longer you speak, the more you see someone's eyes just start to glaze over and they're just really not listening and it just goes downhill. That has happened to me many, 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 many times. I wonder if it's also happened to you. It usually happens to everyone. And here's what I figured out. The best answer to what do you do is a one-line response. That is the best. That is the most confident. That is the most succinct. It shows you've done the work on figuring out what you do, what your greatest benefit is, and you can just crystallize that into a one-line statement. It is the best way to answer that. But that is really not natural. Now, that's not how we think and that's not how we communicate. And certainly it's unnatural for us to think about the broad spectrum of everything that we're contributing. To bring that down into one line is really kind of weird. It's a learned activity. It's not something that you're ever going to be able to really just wing it. So I'm going to share with you a three-part strategy for coming up with a great tagline for yourself. Something that is really, really, really going to just hit the mark and give people a powerful impression of the bottom line value that you're bringing to the table. And at the base of this video, I will include a link where you can get the questions that I'm going to be going through here that are going to help you sort of develop this tagline. So, three areas. Area number one, you got to think about what your emotional appeal is. You got to get away from, I am a project manager, I do this, I do that, I handle financial reconciliations. No. That's an activity. That's something that you do. What's your emotional appeal? In other words, ask yourself, how do I make people feel? How do other people benefit by working with me? What words do others use to describe me? So if you're someone who's just naturally positive, you can enter the most toxic situation and somehow your energy, your charisma, your perspective turns things around, that's a powerful thing. If you are great at getting buy-in for new things, you can not only come up with an idea or a vision or a project, but you can speak the language of different departments, divisions, executives, and get that buy-in, get them to see the bottom line value of what you're putting out there. That's a huge one. And then for what words others use to describe you, think of it like this. If you could be a fly on the wall in a meeting with every boss you've ever worked with, and they're talking about you, what would they constantly be saying? What are the phrases, the terminologies that they would be using to sort of describe you? Are you a just-in-time learner? You're excellent at very quickly getting the relevant information and applying it? Are you someone who is a real culture builder? You're focused on the values of the company and everything that you do is about living that. Maybe you're a servant leader where everything is coming from that point of view. What are the commonalities and the phrases that people would use? And solicit that information if you don't have access to it. So that's area one. What's your emotional appeal? Area two, who is your brand for? And FYI, I should say that when you're coming up with the answers to this, don't worry about shortness. We're going to pare it down. First, you got to get honest. First, you got to get stuff on the table. You got to get a lot of ingredients on your kitchen counter before you can make something delicious. So don't worry. Stream of consciousness. Get this stuff out there. Step two, who is your brand for? Who is your audience? So here's a great question for that. What field or industry am I in, or do I want to be in? That's very relevant if you're in the midst of switching careers. What are the words I would use to describe my work? And finally, who is my target audience? Are you going after retail consumers in tech? Or are you going after high-priced consultants? Or are you going after high-growth healthcare companies? Whatever it is, right? Whatever that is, that's who your brand is for. So you really got to take some time after you thought about the emotional piece to think about target industry, words I'd use to describe my work, what I do, the volume, do I generate amazing year-over-year growth and revenues because of my digital marketing expertise, that is really key. That's a great descriptor of your work. Are you creative? Are you a builder of companies, or are you someone who is really a stabilizer of companies? When a company is on a good growth trajectory, a very unheralded function in the midst of that is someone who, it's not about bold ideas at that point. It's about settling and building, stacking, and having the discipline to really steward a company to a new place. So is that what you are? So that's the second area. Who is your brand for? And then finally, what's your function? And you'll notice that we've only gotten to the function part at the last element. Most people make the mistake of starting with function, and that really just chokes off analysis of the deeper things of who you are. Rest assured, no matter what you're doing, there are a multitude of different industries and jobs that you could have. So don't start with what the core functions are, because you're limiting yourself. So finally, ask yourself this. Overall, what is the piece that you play in a company or an organization or whatever that is? Are you a connector of people? What service do you fundamentally offer people? What do you do that is different from how anyone else does it? Is the way that you work different? Is the way that you see things different? Is the way that you approach problems different? That's what all that goes into, is the function piece of it, your core function. So emotional appeal, who's your brand for, and who's your function. These are the three areas. And once you have all this information, you're going to pull it all together. It's going to give you all the ingredients that you need to really, really cook up an amazing tagline. And let me give you an example from my own life. This is what my one-line tagline is, okay? I help ambitious people reach a new level of their careers. Nothing about resume writing, nothing about interview coaching, nothing about LinkedIn. I help ambitious people reach a new level of their career. That's it. Here's another example that is totally different. I help companies enter the digital health space and bring game-changing solutions to market. Again, going right to the heart of what this person is doing. I actually was talking with a coach the other day. He had a wonderful tagline, which is so simple. He works with executives, and he does a combination of life and career coaching, and his is very simple. I help successful people become more successful. There's something great to be said about a really confident, pithy line like that. But if you do this work and you answer questions in those three areas, you will come up with an amazing tagline. And man, is that ever a baller move when you're asked that "so what do you do" question. You ask that, you answer with one line, you hit it out of the park, you show confidence, clarity, and you naturally open the door to further conversation. The best answer to "what do you do" is one that's going to invite someone to say, "Whoa, that sounds really cool. Can you tell me more about that?" Or "How do you do that?" Now you're off to the races. So I hope that has been very, very helpful to you. I absolutely believe that no matter where you are in your career, you should have a tagline, and you should have a 30 to 45 second elevator pitch, which expands upon that tagline and really tells, a deeper version of what that tagline is about, no matter what. And if you're serious about getting to the executive suite or getting higher up on that executive food chain, you absolutely need to have this. This should be in your pocket at all times as you're networking and building those relationships. So I hope that has been a big help to you. Let me know if you're using this. Let me know what you come up with. I would love to hear what your personal tagline is. Shoot me a comment letting me know, or connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, which is @ResumeOrbit. And I will talk to you guys very soon.